the spotlight. In the spotlight.
In the spotlight. In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with
In the
Trent and
spotlight.
Lent.
In the spotlight with
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent. In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent. In the spotlight with Trent and Lent. In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
What's up, everyone? And thanks for joining us on In the Spotlight with Trent and Lent. Today's guest is Wesley Butler, Reading High graduate, Kutztown University basketball player, but most importantly, our cousin. That's right. Back in November, we put the spotlight on the host of Words with Wes, and he got to tell his story. Check it out.
So, welcome to In the Spotlight with Trent and Lent. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Wesley Butler.
Hey. Oh no! Thank you guys for
welcome
having
to
me.
The show. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
We all know that you're a Kutztown basketball player, star, the point guard extraordinaire. But with COVID-19, tell us how that has impacted your life, that part of your life, actually.
Well, there's positives and negatives in this situation. The negative is I don't get to compete for my sophomore season with my teammates, and we work so hard to get on the court and perform and go to win championships. That's what we wanted to do. And the positives from it is now you have to adapt. You have to do something else. And so that's why I've created a podcast, to keep myself busy and to give out advice to the youth. And then also this is a chance for me to do better in school and make sure my grades are up to par, because there's going to come a time where the ball is going to stop bouncing for me. And this is just a small little taste of that. So just adapting.
So what do you do to keep yourself ready for next season when you finally can get back on the court?
I say to my teammates, we got to act like we're in season. So stuff you wouldn't eat if you had a game this Wednesday, don't eat it. You always want to be game ready. And so I've been conditioning, I got some weights at the house, hitting the weights. By next season, there's no excuse on why you should not be able to go or why you're not well conditioned.
Now, you said you're focusing on class, make sure everything is set up for you. Like, as far as your future after basketball, what were you looking at?
Well, I have many options I think about after basketball. I'm not stuck on just one career. I always want to adapt and try new things. And so communications is my major. And so I've been getting into, being a sports commentator and, my inner Stephen A. Smith. And also on the politics side, just, working with people in politics and understanding that side of it. I would like to be a politician one day. And so I'm sort of with those two things right there. And then coaching, I do a lot of coaching with the youth, hosting workouts with Wes. And so I'm always, adding new jobs and just expanding. I don't want to put all my chips in one place. I want to have multiple streams of income.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, we know that your father was in the military. And he was also the principal of Reading High at one point. And I think he was actually in politics himself. Is that correct?
He's worked for some politicians. He's never been a politician himself, but he has worked for some politicians. Yep.
Okay. And your mom, she's in the law field. What do you think about that?
Oh man, if you would see how many of my friends say, "Hey, I didn't know your mom was a judge." I think it's great, man. The fact that it's a blessing that my mom's a judge, and she worked very hard to get to where she's at. From high school to going to Albright, going to law school. She's definitely earned it. And I'm just proud of her, like very. She's earned it. And she just shows me and my brother, what working hard and receiving the benefits after you work hard is, and it just keeps us going.
Since you brought up your brother, now your brother is older, and he played basketball before you. When did you figure out that you were better at basketball than him?
Oh, he said
Oh,
better.
man. I would say, I don't know. Ever since a young age, I would always play with my brother and his friends. And his friends would always be like, "Oh, your brother's better than you." So even when I was in elementary school, they would say it. I would probably when I got to middle school, probably then. That's probably when I started beating him one-on-ones. Yeah, probably middle school.
So if not for him, you wouldn't be the Wesley Butler that you are.
Yeah, man, I've been playing my brother one-on-one since just we started playing. You know, he started playing basketball first, and my dad would teach him, and so I would just watch. And so when I was able to play, you know, that was my competition every day before
Right.
anybody else was my brother. And we still play one-on-one today. He doesn't win though, so it's
Of course not.
And would he say the same thing, that he never wins?
Oh no, of course he's gonna lie and try to, you know, put on a facade that he still got it, but he knows deep down inside who's better.
So you're into mentoring as well, and we know that you have your podcast. Can you talk to us a little bit about the mentoring and podcast?
Yeah, so my podcast, which is called Words with Wes,
Yeah.
you know, I invite guests not only in sports, not only who are great student athletes, not only, you know, people who are unsung heroes and need a platform. Now I have a variety of people coming on the podcast to talk with me about how they are benefiting the community, you know, giving game or advice to, you know, the youth. Because when I was a youth, you know, I stayed on YouTube, you know, watching The Breakfast Club, watching Hot 97, watching, you know, Joe Budden's podcast, just trying to see what's going on, how I can use the information they're telling me to become a better person and to, you know, expand myself. And so I just want to continue to do that and pass it on to the young kids I know and to the young kids who watch my podcast that I probably don't even know, and just help them out in some sort of way during this pandemic.
That's awesome, man.
That is great. I love it.
And I see you're like, what, 2 episodes deep right now?
Yeah, man. Episode 1, I have my one of my best buddies, RJ Dixon.
Yeah.
He's a Penn State Berks guard. That's the one everybody's like, that's your most entertaining one. And then I just had my good friend TJ White on, and he talked about him being a student athlete and what he has to go through. And I think both guests were great. And that's the thing about my podcast. My guests make my podcast. So it's all about them and how they're benefiting the community, and I just love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was watching the first podcast myself, right? And what I found interesting, right, was when you were talking about letting a player be free on the court and how coaches like to pull them back. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because you said you like to coach these kids as well. So if you were in the position of a coach and you were coaching someone such as yourself, would you let them be free, or would you want to pull them back a little bit?
Well, there's time and situation. And, you know, what I get on coaches is about a kid might be a great one-on-one player. That's their thing. But yet you'll pull them back and tell them, oh, they need to pass the ball 5 times. But sometimes that's their best thing. And a guy like Kyrie Irving, he has the ability to ISO anybody on the floor. And so if that's their best trait, sometimes you can let a player like Kyrie Irving go. But not all players are like that. So that's why, you know, it depends on the player and then time and situation. You know, if you're at the end of a game and the player doesn't have it going, yeah, you might want to call timeout, draw a play up. But sometimes when a team's dead tired and you got a point guard coming off a pick and roll and the big man's on them, that's isolation play. That's an easy score. So it's all about time and situation and what players you could give that leisure to go one-on-one. You know, Michael Jordan's coach, Phil Jackson, there was times Phil told everybody, get out the way. And
Right.
Michael was Michael. Kobe as
Michael's
well.
the GOAT.
And so players like that, you know, Phil would let them go and let them be the player they are.
Heard.
Yeah. Since you bring up Michael Jordan, to me, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And there's a lot of argument about who is actually the GOAT between Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Those are the three top names. Who, since you're from the younger generation than what Lent and I are, like I said, I believe Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Who do you think is the GOAT between Michael Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe? I guess I shouldn't say those names, but who do you think?
Well, I always say I think Michael Jordan from the look of it, in terms of when it matters most, who would I give the ball to win an NBA Finals? And I think it's Michael Jordan. That's what I judge it by. You know, they're great players, and so I gotta think when it matters most, when all the chips are on the line, am I giving it to LeBron? Or am I giving it to Jordan? And I look at that in all situations. When it comes down to who's the best point guard in the league, who do I want taking the shot? Steph Curry, or do I want Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, and these other guys to take it? Because that defines the great players, the ones that take it home. And what I love about LeBron is, he might not have as many clutch shots as Jordan, but he does make game-winning plays.
Yeah.
He does make game-winning plays. I'll give him that.
See, I think the difference between Jordan and LeBron is LeBron tries to implement his team a little bit more into the win instead of taking the win on his own shoulders. Like he'll give that winning pass and leave it up to that player to finish the shot. With Michael Jordan, he could have passed it, but he's so confident in his scoring ability that he's going to take that shot and let it be, whether they lose or win, on his shoulders. And LeBron is more, I mean, they're both team players, but I think Michael is just a better finisher.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
So, Wes, what would be your top starting five right now?
Of all time?
No, just like right now.
Oh, in the league?
Yeah.
All right, so definitely have LeBron at my small forward. I guess I gotta put KD in there, so I guess he's gonna have to play the power forward.
Right.
My center's AD. Steph at the point. Shooting guard. I gotta go with Harden.
Oh,
really?
Oh,
I have to go with Harden at shooting guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's a good five. That's a good five. Do you want him to come to Philly?
Who, Harden?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Sixers need to trade Joel Embiid. I think he's a great player, but in terms of his body and how durable he is, I don't think he can last till June or July. I just haven't seen it.
Right. No one has.
Yeah. And I think guys like Harden, their injury history, he hasn't been injured much. And I think his body's durable to last till July. Now, the thing with Harden is he can last, but will he continue to put up the points he's putting up during the regular season? And so I'd rather have a player like that I could add with Ben Simmons and a couple shooters than have a player who is gonna give me 30 every game during the regular season, but when May and June hit, he's on the sidelines in a suit.
The problem I have with Harden is like he yeah, he'll put up those points, but then sometimes he won't put up those points. Like he'll just keep shooting. And yeah, you to get in your rhythm, you gotta keep shooting, I know. But sometimes you're just off. If you're off, pass the ball. And I feel like he just keeps shooting until the game is over.
Well, as a player, I would say, and this is what Ben would help him out with, bringing up the ball every time down the floor and having to score, especially when the playoffs come, they're guarding the full length of the floor. That is energy consuming. And when you have a guy like Ben who's going to bring up the ball down the floor, and now you're telling Harden to run off, a screen or run off this double stack, now somebody has to chase Harden. Now they're expanding their energy. That would help them. I could bring the ball down the floor. It's overlooked, but having a guy like Rondo on the Lakers, where LeBron doesn't have to bring the ball down every time, and LeBron doesn't have to set up players every time, having just that extra point guard / coach on the floor is very important.
Agreed.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way, but that's right.
Yeah.
But him and Westbrook kind of clash. Harden. So
yeah, I mean, we knew when that trade happened, I didn't think it would work out. James needs a pure passing point guard. He's a scorer. And me, I've been on teams where I was a scorer, and you want that point guard that's gonna set you up and get you the ball. That's just the nature of it. Playing with another scorer, it's definitely harder to be the player you want to be, because now you gotta take yourself down a level sometimes. So I definitely think it would work in Philly though. I don't know if they would beat Brooklyn because KD's there. And if KD comes back at least 80% of who he was, I think he's taking you to an NBA Finals. So I do think they'd be a top 4 team in the West, definitely.
Okay. So what are your goals in your basketball career for next year? Next season?
My mindset's to win a PSAC championship and to win a NCAA Division II championship. I feel like I haven't won a championship since high school. And I know that was last year, but it feels like ages when you don't win it that next season. So
yeah,
that's the goal. Those are the main goals. It's really the team goals. The individual goals, those will come when you're winning championships. So that's my focus.
Nice.
Noted. So when is your podcast playing? Can you drop us a line like how we can get to your podcast and everything?
So on my YouTube channel, which is Wesley, it's titled Wesley Butler. You just type that on YouTube, it'll show up. You'll see my logo, the NBA, sort of like an NBA logo. I got the W and the B, and I got the Hooper in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually have my guests come on Saturdays. I'll record, and then I'll put it up that Saturday night. So around 7-8 o'clock, and it'll be on Facebook, my Facebook, which is Wesley Butler. Then on Instagram, West Money with underscores between capital letters. Also on Twitter, the same thing, West Money _ capital letters. So you'd look forward on Saturday nights.
Right. Well, I enjoyed the first 2, so I'm looking forward to some more,
Yeah. Until next week. It's definitely going to be entertaining. I'll tell you that.
Awesome. Well, Wes, we appreciate you coming on with us tonight, man, in the spotlight with Trent and Lent. Family, we appreciate you, and we want to big up you, and we want to follow your channel, man, and wish nothing but good things for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. Peace and blessings, man.
Yes.
Right back at you.
Keep doing it big.
Sir, cousin, you guys too.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with
In the
Trent and
spotlight.
Lent.
In the spotlight with
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent. In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight with Trent and Lent.
In the spotlight.